Sorry, guys. It's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but we're going to talk about Joe Biden's cabinet picks. And let's just start with the good news. If you haven't heard, the best news to come out of this whole situation is the pick of Deb Haaland for the Interior Department. Deb Haaland will literally be the first ever Native American cabinet secretary. But giving Deb Haaland the Interior Department, giving the first Native American appointment the Interior Department is, that's brilliant. I mean, this was a number one pick for progressive groups, for progressives lobbying the Biden administration. For progressives lobbying the Biden administration, this was a huge win. This is what they wanted. But this is the thing. He keeps appointing people who the lead paragraph is always, they will be the first such and such to serve as blah, blah, blah. So, right, we're going to get to Pete Buttigieg, openly gay transportation secretary. Yay. And this really is their idea of progressive. But for just a second, let's focus on the good news. Deb Haaland. Native rights groups and progressive Democrats had pushed for the New Mexico lawmaker's nomination in recent weeks. It would be, quote, it would be an honor to move the Biden-Harris climate agenda forward, help repair the government-to-government relationship with tribes that the Trump administration has ruined, and serve as the first Native American cabinet secretary in our nation's history. Yes, the Interior Department, if I believe the Bureau of Indian Affairs falls under the Interior Department, it manages, millions of acres of public land. And she was literally, and LaFin absolutely said in the comments, she was there at Standing Rock. She's got the bona fides, people. She's got the progressive background, and it really means something that she is the first. I'm not just trying to wipe away the identity of anybody who's been appointed by the Biden administration. But this one's a big deal. This is a win for progressives. If we're going to squeeze any blood out of the stone that is Biden's appointments, let it be this one, okay? I don't care what Nancy Pelosi said, but fellow progressive Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez praised her nomination as, quote, historic on multiple levels. Quote, she brings a commitment to climate and justice to the position, and the historic weight of having a Native woman, no less a progressive one, in charge of federal lands is enormous. Yes, so she will help implement environmental policies. Promise to move the federal government away from fossil fuels. One of the largest emitters of carbon and through fossil fuels is the United States government, by the way, people. So, she was on the House Natural Resources Committee. This is good. Okay, Deb Haaland. This is a victory we should take a breath and enjoy. Is her record good? Yeah, she's a progressive. She, we see here the House and Natural Resources Committee. She's got the bona fides. She's done the work. She hasn't been in the House a long time. I mean, just her election was historic in the first place. Tribune is okay. I'll accept it. All right. And LaFin absolutely says people in New Mexico he knows like her. So the one bummer is it's chipping away at the House lead in the lead Democrats have in the House of Representatives. So there is concern about that. Another thing, more than 120 tribal leaders joined a petition from the Lakota People's Law Action Center to back Deb Haaland. In addition, celebrities, environmental activists who called for the president-elect to choose her. I don't care whatever celebrities, but environmental activists wanted her in there. So it seems that if Joe Biden is tacking any way that you could consider progressive, it's on climate. Okay, so that's the good news. All right, if we tack over and we look at here's an NPR story. Biden's administration here has been named so far. This is just a really quick rundown. I don't know everything about a lot of these people, but let's talk about some of the concerning stuff because it's there. Ron Klain, he actually has been Biden's chief of staff for many, many years. He has experience with pandemics, running an administration through pandemics like Ebola during the Obama years and SARS, the other SARS outbreak and stuff like that. Let's see. We have a few people here. Jake Sullivan is National Security Advisor. He was also a National Security Advisor during Obama. So a lot of what we're seeing here is rehashes from the Obama years, and this guy was also Deputy Chief of Staff to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. So, we're seeing a lot of holdovers from the Clinton years, or the Obama years mostly, but also we have people going back to the Clinton administration, which I don't think anybody can characterize as progressive in any way. So the other thing, this guy, that is pretty interesting. Sullivan was a lead negotiator in talks that led to the Iran nuclear deal. The Iran nuclear deal was a good thing. Okay, so if this guy was involved in that, maybe it's not the worst thing. If Obama deserves credit, diplomatic credit, then it's for the Iran nuclear deal and normalizing relations with Cuba. Of course, we saw where that got us, right? Of course, we have Nora Tandon, everybody on Twitter's favorite shit poster, Nora Tandon. She famously, she's going to be the director of Office of Management and Budget. She famously took the word progressive out of her Twitter bio, I believe, when she was tapped for this, or when she endorsed Biden. I can't remember when. So the CEO for the Center for American Progress, not a very progressive leaning think tank. It's a Democratic leaning think tank. So she worked on it says here she worked on the Affordable Care Act, which, patient protections are great, but not everything else is all that popular about it. The Republicans have signaled that they want to block her because they don't like all her Twitter postings. Like, they haven't been supporting a madman on Twitter for the last 5-6 years or whatever. And but the backup for Tandon is this guy Brian Deese, who's going to be director at the National Economic Council, and he's from BlackRock, and an investment firm. No bueno, people. We don't want Brian Deese in there, but LaFin, absolutely. All right, I have to go. I'll come back and check this later. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us, sir. Enjoy your show. Everybody, go subscribe to This Is Revolution podcast on YouTube. Give him some subs. Please do that. For me. All right. Now let's see what else we got here. Susan Rice is back. Hooray. Let's see. Cedric Richmond, Mike Donald. I want to see more of the ones that have to get through the Senate. John Kerry, special envoy for climate to the president. This thing has never existed. So, John Kerry isn't a flaming progressive. He's not a hyper lefty, but he's going to be the very serious guy that talks about, the climate and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, he was Secretary of State for Obama and was the architect of the Paris Climate Accord. Could have done a lot more. Could have done with something not so easily demolishable by the Trump administration. But whatever. A lot of things that were anyway. But so let's see. I want to get down. There's a whole section here. Simone Sanders. She worked for Bernie before Biden offered her some money to get in there. Let's see. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen. She worked for she was a Federal Reserve Chair, the first woman to be Federal Reserve Chair. Again, this is the Biden administration's idea of progress, people. If we're going to appoint, someone, they're going to be the first person of color or the first woman, but they don't have progressive politics. They, they are quite well entrenched within the system. See, she was chairwoman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors during the Clinton administration. So again, this is, she worked for the Clinton administration and then was Federal Reserve Chair during the Obama administration. So these are they're tried and true. These are their people that they've had for a long time. Cecilia Rouse, chairperson for the Council of Economic Advisors. Let's see here. She School of Public and International Affairs at Princeton. These are It was funny. I think was it Lindsey Graham? It was one of the Republicans who, or it might have been that little twerp from Florida, I can't, Marco Rubio, who said this is just going to be the Ivy League. Which, oh gee, pot calling the kettle black, but he's criticizing Biden's cabinet for being Ivy League. When it's, oh gee, what did we get different with Trump? I mean, he's had so many cabinet secretaries have to resign in shame for just running up taxpayer dollars for I think there were a bunch of them. There was oh geez, I'm blanking. There so many have come and gone. The EPA had what's his name, the real weirdo, I think from Texas, who Zinke in the Interior Department. His wife was basically having state Interior Department staff like planning private parties for her. They're like, we don't do that, ma'am. Tribunus Plebis Media said Yellen isn't as bad as it could be. Okay, cool, man. I'm glad. Yeah, she's definitely not. I'm wearing my left is best shirt. From watching the Majority Report, Sam Cedar was pointing out that she's not the deficit hawk that could have been in there. Let's see, national security, Antony Blinken. And this was last week we talked a bit about Secretary of Defense General Lloyd Austin, and I had a veteran here in the comments who he just thought it was very odd choice to put a military person, someone from the military, in as Secretary of Defense when that has almost always been a civilian. So it was a strange choice. Thank you. You're right. Scott Pruitt. Thank you, Existential Dad. Who was the guy with the EPA that left? He had like a soundproof booth installed. This is for the Trump administration, installed in his room so people couldn't hear whatever kind of creepy stuff he was up to. Let's see. Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas. Let's see. Deputy of Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. So he's just during Obama. So he's a Homeland Security guy. So it's not much of a change there. Avril Haines for Director of National Intelligence. Deputy Director of the CIA during Obama. Jeez. So these are insiders. I mean, we didn't expect Biden to appoint anybody but, technocrats and, insiders. I mean, that's kind of, what, that's what a lot of people, that was the big argument is, yeah, Biden might be old. He's not on top of his game, but he's definitely, he's going to pick a real administration here, folks. But that also means insiders, people who, me, probably not my first choice. Tribunus Plebis Media said retired general, went to work for Raytheon. Yes, yeah, at the Defense Department, yes. Then putting into the seat before being out 7 years. All bad signs. Yeah. Oh, Pruitt was the sound booth guy. Thank you. Yeah, Scott Pruitt. He actually came here to Santa Barbara County and visited our super fun site we have in Casmelia. There's literally just like piles of toxic waste. And he said, we're going to really ramp up the cleaning here, the cleaning process here. The cleaning timeline for that place is literally a century. So we're going to really ramp it up and get it done in 95 years, which, I mean, it's a super fun site. It's a toxic waste dump for toxic waste dumps. Let's see. We also have Linda Thomas Greenfield, career diplomat with more than 3 decades of experience. This is the thing. We're getting the experienced people. That's what we're getting here. And the other good sign for progressives is, I talked a bit about this last week, Xavier Becerra. He's from here in Cali, our home state of California, and he was Secretary of State, and he's going to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's going to advise on health policy, oversee the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Hey, wow, a competent person in the CDC. Wow. And the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Now, this is a big deal because he has actually voiced support for Medicare for all. So that's a good thing. That is at least Biden signaling a softening a little bit his position on that a little bit, And do I think Biden's going to pass Medicare for all? No, I don't. But He has alluded to maybe he'll do a single term and then pass the torch, probably to Kamala Harris. But, and Kamala Harris co-signed, endorsed Medicare for All in the Senate with Bernie right after she got into the Senate. But, I think there's going to have to be a lot of pressure about Medicare for All. And I think Kamala Harris, she kind of leans whichever way the wind is blowing. And, that might bring me to our next topic. I would be wait, before I do that, sorry, guys. Sorry, I keep doing this. But the one question that remains in Biden's cabinet is who's going to be the Attorney General. And there was an opinion piece in the Post, the Washington Post. Biden's recent appointments have been hits. Now for the hard one. Who's going to be his Attorney General? There are a few people up for the consideration. One was Doug Jones. Doug Jones was an interesting pick. Oh, I didn't even talk about Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, Pete Buttigieg, I think everybody knew when he ducked out just before Super Tuesday, after falsely claiming to win Iowa, this is why he did that he was expecting, ducking out before Super Tuesday, to help Biden was clearly, if you remember the speech he gave endorsing Biden, it sounded like the dude was about to cry throughout the whole thing. So he did not want to give up running for president. I think Buttigieg wants all the attention he can get, but now he's going to be the transportation secretary, so good for him. He's getting something, so who knows, maybe he'll rear his head again in the next primary. Let's see. I'm looking for... Now, this is the weird thing. I thought Kamala Harris would be a contender for Attorney General if she wasn't picked as vice president. Now that she's picked as vice president, we'll see. So, obviously, this opinion piece kind of alludes to the fact Biden could wait until January 5th to see how the Georgia Senate runoff races go. If Democrats win both seats, the excuse for sidestepping Sally Yates would disappear, or at least greatly diminish. I don't know. Sally Yates might be an interesting pick. Of course, she's reviled on the right, and there might be for what she did around the Russia investigation, calling out, warning the Trump administration about Mike Flynn, who's calling for martial law right now to allow Trump to steal the election. So I don't think it would be bad to have somewhat of a fighter of a Democrat in there, someone who might be amenable, thinking about, hopefully, to go after these psychopaths that have run the government for the last several years. Everybody just wants to quickly denounce the whole thing. Biden's never going to try Trump. Well, you don't know. Biden might set up an attorney general who would allow that to go forward, and he'd just say, "Hey, I'm not trying to influence the Justice Department." And of course, you have state AG like the Southern District of New York, which they got sealed indictments. They're going after Trump no matter what. Who knows how much that will? Who knows how much that will end up mattering?